clash of eras.
Do you remember those unforgettable faces from your childhood? Those child stars who dominated Hollywood and captivated generations? Some of them simply vanished from the spotlight. Today, you're about to discover 20 child stars who completely disappeared from the media. Macaulay Culkin, the eternal Kevin from Home Alone, captivated the world with his charisma and mischief, becoming one of Hollywood's biggest child phenomena. However, his journey was marked by family problems and an abrupt departure from the big screen at his peak. Today, Macaulay leads a more reserved life, away from massive stardom, dedicating himself to smaller artistic projects, like his band and a comedy website, and has become a father, showing a more mature and serene version of himself. Jake Lloyd Young. Jake Lloyd took on the challenging role of Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, a film that launched him to global stardom. However, the pressures of fame and bullying at school led him to abandon Hollywood as a teenager. Since then, he has lived away from the spotlight, facing mental health issues, and his life has taken a very different turn than what was expected from a Star Wars star. Mara Wilson. The sweet and brilliant Mara Wilson charmed audiences in the 90s with her roles in classics like Matilda and Mrs. Doubtfire, showcasing unique child talent. After losing her mother and a growing disillusionment with the industry, she decided to step away from acting. Today, Mara has reinvented herself as a respected writer, playwright, and activist, using her voice for important causes and sharing her experiences honestly. Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes was one of the queens of teen comedy in the late 90s and early 2000s, starring in series like The Amanda Show and films like What a Girl Wants. However, her personal life took a turbulent turn, facing serious mental health challenges and legal issues that kept her away from the spotlight for years. Currently, she seeks to maintain a private life focused on her recovery and well-being, trying to rebuild her path away from intense media scrutiny. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, known as the teen heartthrob from the hit series Home Improvement, and for voicing Simba in The Lion King, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was a teen phenomenon. To the surprise of many, he abandoned Hollywood at the height of his career to prioritize his studies and lead a normal life. To this day, he lives an extremely discreet life, rarely appearing in public, making him one of the most notable cases of disappearance among child stars. Haley Joel Osment. Haley Joel Osment terrified and moved the world with his iconic performance in The Sixth Sense, earning an Oscar nomination at a very young age. After the tremendous success, he grew up away from major Hollywood roles, opting for a more discreet and eclectic career. Today, Haley continues to work as an actor, with notable roles in TV series, independent films, and as a voice actor, showing mature versatility and a look that has changed quite a bit since his childhood glory days. Taran Noah Smith. Taran Noah Smith became a familiar face to millions as Randy Taylor in the popular series Home Improvement, spending much of his childhood and adolescence on television. However, after the series ended, he decided to abandon acting and completely stepped away from the Hollywood universe. Currently, Taran is an entrepreneur dedicated to organic food and an advocate for a more sustainable lifestyle, living a life away from film sets. Jodie Sweetin. Jodie Sweetin grew up on camera as the adorable Stephanie Tanner in Full House, winning a legion of young fans. After the series ended, she faced serious personal problems and addictions that kept her out of the public eye for a time. However, Jodie managed to recover and made a triumphant return to TV with the Fuller House spin-off, as well as other guest appearances, showing resilience and a new chapter in her life. Jeff Cohen. It's impossible to forget the hilarious Chunk and his Goonie shuffle in the classic film The Goonies, a role that immortalized Jeff Cohen in the 80s. Despite his success, he decided that acting wasn't for him and abandoned his career to focus on his studies. Today, Jeff is a very successful entertainment lawyer in Hollywood, working behind the scenes of the industry that once saw him shine as a child star. Andrew Lawrence. Andrew Lawrence, part of the famous Lawrence acting family, had notable roles in films and TV series during his childhood and adolescence. While he hasn't completely disappeared, his career hasn't reached the same level as his older brothers, Joey and Matthew. Currently, Andrew has stepped away from the major Hollywood spotlight to dedicate himself to independent projects, music, and a more personal lifestyle. Angus T. Jones. Angus T. Jones was the charismatic Jake, one of the protagonists of 2.5 Men, one of the biggest sitcoms of its time, and grew up in the public eye. At the height of success, he shocked everyone by publicly criticizing the series and the entertainment industry for religious reasons, abandoning the show. Since then, Angus lives an extremely private life away from the media, seeking a simpler existence aligned with his personal beliefs. Liesl Matthews. Liesl Matthews moved audiences with her impeccable performance as the protagonist of A Little Princess, an acclaimed 90s film. After this great success, and surprisingly, she left Hollywood to dedicate herself to social causes and humanitarian projects, focusing her efforts on philanthropy. Liesl is an heiress of the Pritzker family and uses her fortune to support various charitable initiatives, showing that her legacy extends far beyond the screens. Ross Malinger. Ross Malinger is remembered as the adorable Jonah, Tom Hanks's son in the romantic film Sleepless in Seattle, a big hit from the 90s. Although he appeared in a few other projects, he chose to abandon his acting career at a young age. Currently, Ross Malinger works in sales and business, leading a discreet life completely out of the Hollywood spotlight, a notable contrast to his famous childhood. Barrett Oliver. Barrett Oliver is the face behind Bastian, the dreamy boy from The Never-Ending Story, a classic 80s fantasy film. After a few other child roles, he decided to step away from acting to pursue a completely different path. Today, Barrett is a respected photographer, specializing in historical 19th century photographic processes, and also a writer and historian, dedicating himself to an artistic and academic passion that distanced him from the world of cinema. Michael Oliver became known as the junior menace in the 90s classic Dennis the Menace, with his pranks entertaining millions. However, after the film's success and some contractual disputes, he abandoned Hollywood at a very young age. Currently, Michael Oliver lives a life completely out of the spotlight, with not much public information about his whereabouts or career, making him one of the most enigmatic cases of child star disappearances. Alexa Vega. Alexa Vega became an international star as the child spy Carmen Cortez in the popular Spy Kids franchise in the 2000s. After her success, she temporarily stepped away to focus on her personal life and family, getting married and having children. Although she maintains a discreet presence in smaller series and TV movies, her primary focus has shifted, and she lives at a different pace than that of a child blockbuster star. Danny Lloyd is immortalized as the terrified young Danny Torrance in the horror classic The Shining, a memorable performance for a child. After the film, his parents kept him away from acting so he could have a normal childhood, and he truly left Hollywood. Today, Danny is a respected biology professor at a university in the United States, leading an academic and family life, far removed from the glare of the cameras. Arya Curzon became known for her distinctive voice in various popular children's animations, bringing beloved characters to life in productions like The Yellow Bird and A Goofy Movie. Although she had roles in films and series, her fame was more focused on voice acting. She eventually abandoned acting to dedicate herself to music and her family, opting for a more private and creative life outside of recording studios. Charlie Korsmo. Charlie Korsmo had prominent roles in films like Hook, where he played Peter Pan's son, and Dick Tracy. Despite being promising, he decided to leave acting to pursue an academic and legal career. Today, Charlie is a successful lawyer and university law professor in the United States, an example of how a child star can completely reinvent themselves in another highly successful field. Noah Hathaway. Noah Hathaway is the eternal Atreyu from the classic The Neverending Story, one of the most iconic fantasy films of the 80s. After its success, he had a few appearances but stepped away from acting to explore other passions. Currently, Noah dedicates himself to martial arts, motorcycle design, and tattoos, showing a notable transformation from his child image to an adult with more alternative and edgy interests. It's incredible how time flies, isn't it? Some took surprising paths, others faced challenges, but all left their mark on history. Which of these child stars surprised you the most? Comment below, leave a like and subscribe to Clash of Eras for more transformations, comparisons, and curiosities that span generations. See you in the next video.